Hi everyone, it's me again. Yep, still wearing my uniform. I don't know. I mean, I'm almost daring you. Make a comment about me wearing the same hoodie all the time. Go for it. Anyway, um, yeah, I remember, or you could remember, but I don't think there's anyone out there who's keeping track of my videos just yet. But in my first video, I explained that grief was going to be part of this whole thing. I'm gonna get my crappy acoustic covers going pretty soon and make fun of it or love it or do whatever you're gonna do with that. But um, but like I said, grief is a big part of this channel, even though it's kind of like a variety show. But recently, let me give you context. Sorry, let me give you context. My son Jean Paul passed away in December of 2023, and my life's never been the same. It's 15 plus months. My life's on its head. It's upside down, and I recognize that people handle grief differently. For me, so far, um, I haven't gone back to work. I'm very fortunate that I am working in a field where I can take some time, and there's benefits and long-term disability insurance and all these things, and I've been very blessed and fortunate that I can take my time before I return, right? But here's the thing. In my exploration for some digital supports, of course, I'm getting real life supports. But in my exploration for digital supports, you end up meeting people, you end up coming across situations, and what I'm finding, and this is the point of this video here, what I'm finding is that there's such a societal expectation. And I understand that we all need to work, we all need to make money, and we need to distract ourselves. We need to have a purpose beyond ourselves and beyond other people sometimes, and that's a little bit gray. But we need to have a purpose, and we all grieve differently. But what I'm finding quite a lot of part of my stumbling is an understanding, or to me a misunderstanding, but it's not to be judgmental here. Is an understanding that like you have to like push forward so quickly. um I'm finding people who, for example, believe that, after a few weeks it's time, dig your heels in, let's go, suck it up buttercup, or whatever the case, may be, whatever phrase you want to use. Finding people that are like, well, I went back to work after 2 weeks. I went back to work after 1 month. I went back to work after 3 weeks. I recognize if there might have been a financial need. Like I've always said, if there were a financial need, there kind of is a financial need for us. But I'm kind of doing some fancy juggling and some figure skating and tap dancing to make sure that my family stays okay. But I understand that there are people for whom there isn't an ability to juggle and there isn't an ability to lean on long term disability insurance and stuff like that. Um, but in the absence of that, if it's not an absolute need, which is terrible, a terrible reality of our capitalism and of our our that's a whole other video. But it's terrible when people have to go to work after a couple of weeks. It's terrible when that's an expectation in North America, especially for me, in my opinion. And then it's a little bit of an oddity as far as I am concerned when people are like, I was really worried because it had been a couple weeks and I wasn't feeling okay. What? Um, if you are watching this because you're on a grief journey, first of all, I'm sorry because I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert. I'm 15 months into the most earth-shattering loss of my existence, and I hope that it's as bad as it ever gets, because I hope there's nothing worse waiting, because there are worse things, right? I hope there's nothing worse waiting, because I lost my 7-year-old son. My 7-year-old son. I poured my life into him, and then poof, right? So, um, but what I'm trying to get at here is there's an expectation to kind of get better. And again, I've heard on multiple occasions things, and these aren't, direct quotes, but like the idea that a couple of months had passed and like, okay, that's enough now. Like if like it's not finite. It's not a broken leg. It's not a sprained ankle. It's not an injury that you can like, map out a timeline and some rehab, and then, you should be okay, and you're probably gonna always have, an ankle that clicks. You know what I mean? Or a little bit of soreness in that leg when it's gonna rain. These types of things. Grief is very much an ongoing thing. It's a permanent thing. And for me at least, it shrinks under certain contexts. And you'll have to forgive me, but if you were to lose a grandparent, a parent, a sibling, sorry, even a spouse, okay? Forgive me, but even a spouse, they're all natural things that are going to happen. It's almost like anybody in your whole life is fair game to the realities of death. But you, not your kid. In your head, your kid's never fair game. Your children are never fair game. But of course they are. We know there's atrocities in the world where children are losing their lives en masse. We know this. But from a very selfish personal standpoint, everybody's fair game except for your children because it's so unnatural, right? And if you do any reading on it online or if you've bothered to listen to any of these videos or whatever else, I'm certainly not the only person. I'm not the most eloquent person or the most, learned person telling you about like it's unnatural. It's unnatural when you lose a child, right? And again, I'm coming across people for whom they like grieving is not finite. And I almost feel sorry because I'm only on month 15. I'm fully aware that I don't know what I'm talking about. It's only month 15. I'm 45 years old. So, God willing, I probably should live another 15, 20, 30, 40 years. Who knows? So 15 months? What's that? What you This is a marathon. So grief is a marathon at this level. At this level. I've lost all of my grandparents. I've lost my father. My mother, thankfully, is still here. You know, there have been other tremendous losses and struggles in my life. Nothing, nothing compares. Time heals all wounds is not actually true, but you get used to all wounds and you get the strength to carry them, hopefully. But the loss of a child is not deep loss. Forget about a child. Deep loss that impacts you on a level that's so profound that you feel like you've perhaps died when that person died in a way. That type of loss, it's not the 15-year-old who broke up with their girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. And in a few months, they're not so dramatic anymore. I feel sorry for people, like I said, that are limiting their grief. You can't, no matter what the loss is, you can't die with them. I understand that. There's a life to be lived, and we have to find a way to do it. And I'd like to imagine that I am finding a way to do it. I'm applying to take a master's degree. Like you push, you got to do something. You got to exist, you got to live. But I guess I caution the idea that a couple weeks or a couple months, maybe a couple years is a long time. Okay, that's enough. Get over it, or no, it's time for me to get over it, or whatever. Whatever version that misunderstanding takes, whatever iteration that misunderstanding takes. I'm worried for people out there because I am seeing people that think a few weeks, a few months is a long time. Oh boy, try to wrap your head around it. One day you're going to wake up and that first year anniversary is going to pass. That second year anniversary is going to pass. Again, this is God willing that you're still around. The years are going to keep going. And I don't mean to bring anybody down. But the idea that a few months had passed and so it was really time for me. You don't know what's coming. I don't know what's coming. I'm on month 15 and there's lots of moments in lots of days that feels like I'm in my first 15 minutes of it. But actually no, that's a misrepresentation of it. The first year you don't know shit about shit yet. You don't. I woke up after 1 year realizing, "Oh my god. This isn't a thing that passes. This is just how reality is now." And every other kind of loss, for the most part, is attached to a problem that can be fixed, a role that can be replaced. Again, being really cold and hard about it, you know, they're like things that kind of should, could, would happen. Maybe they're not ideal. Maybe you don't want them to happen, but, these are things that can happen. And then, like I said, we, for some reason, exclude the idea that we could lose our kid, could lose our child. We also get taught that, you know, you can't have a purpose in life that's so attached to a person because that person, through their own desire to leave you and not be in your life or pass away, that's a really dangerous, it's a precarious thing to do, to have your purpose deeply attached to another person, to an unhealthy degree, I guess. But when it's your kid, you're going to go around telling people not to have their purpose attached to their children. Anyway, so I'm meandering a little bit, pardon me. But again, the idea for me was like I've recently been hearing some content out there about timelines, and I saw on LinkedIn people that had taken a whole 3 weeks off when their child passed away, and I'm thinking, are you crazy? Like, sorry, I'm very expressive about this. It's just we need to and do it your way. Do it your way, as long as you're coping, pardon me, in a healthy way. Do it your way. Cope in a healthy way. As long as you're coping in a healthy way that's not involving drugs, alcohol, self harm, any number of things that, like we all get to a dark place. And you can tell by the look on my face, sleep isn't exactly my best friend right now. And, who am I to talk? But as long as you're coping in a healthy way, then I'm nobody. You don't have to listen to a word I say. Who gives a shit what I say? However, I can't caution people enough that when you're through the weeks and the months at the start, you're still under the protective force of the shock. You still don't get it. You're just in your first year. After the first year, the novelty, the shock, the support probably wears off way before the first year, but the support starts to fall off, and you wake up and you say, oh my God, this is just how it is. And when your 7, 8, 9, 10, 25, 55-year-old child is not getting a year older and you are, and their siblings are, right? It's sad, It's sad. When the stuff they used to enjoy is old now, the music, TV shows, whatever, when the things they used to enjoy are now getting old, and that's because the time is still going, right? So anyway, I just caution people. I'm so sorry for anyone who's watching this and you've recently lost a loved one. I'm so sorry for your loss. I am, I'm happy to comment, to answer a comment or anything to help you if I could possibly help you. I don't know because I'm struggling myself, but please don't feel the need to rush. Please don't feel the need to heal. Great. If you genuinely are feeling, let yourself feel those joyful moments. But I'm starting to, and I could be wrong. I'm starting to interpret it like there's this idea of a finality to it. I need to get better now. It's time, and those are unhealthy ways because it's gonna be there. So grow your life around that grief and do what it takes. But please stop. Try to stop, unless I mean, I guess I'm just saying. Sorry to stumble. I guess I'm just saying, be cautious of your approach and be open to the fact that after 1 year, after 2 years, after 3 years, right, you still might not be fully understanding what this all is. And you certainly don't know what on earth you're talking about when you're a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months into this process. Let yourself feel it out. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. Um, it's not going anywhere. And that is, again, it sounds like the most tremendous downer ever, and I hated hearing this at the very early onset of my grief, of my situation. But I'm 15 months in, and I'm humble enough to realize, holy jeez, this is nothing yet. So just be patient and be accepting. You're not suddenly an expert because this happened to you. You're not suddenly an expert on how to cope with this. Let yourself learn your own methods and your own ways, but be patient and be humble that this is a thing now. So I'm sorry to burst anybody's bubble. This is a thing now. It's okay if you're not okay and it's been a month, 2 months, a year, 2 years. It's okay. Get functional, but it's okay if the word okay doesn't apply to you for a while. So anyway, please forgive any moments if that was arrogant or anything like that. It's really I just worry for people who think that in a few weeks that they're gonna start to, okay, great, I can exhale. I'm getting through this. You don't get through it. It's there's not a finish line. It's a marathon for the rest of your life. It's not there's no finish line. But I'm gonna say something weird. I love all of you. I hope you understand. Your reef is not like the point of me coming on here. Take it back a second. Is not to dismiss anybody's process. The point is to not try to tell you how to grieve because I don't know. I don't know. I'm only on month 15. So if there's anything I can fucking end this off with is the humility to understand that you're only on month 2, month 3, month 15, and for whatever reason, Your kid might have passed at 7. You might not be going till you're 97. So be patient and have grace and know that a few months deep, you don't know anything about anything. Not yet, at least. So you can let me know your thoughts. I'm good. And like I keep saying, keep an eye out for a little bit of crappy music coming your way from my site. Thank you, everybody.